If you read the title, you already know what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna do a drum roll anyways. I work at Rivian now. Here's how I went from driving the Rivian van at Amazon to working at Rivian, why I decided to join the Rivian team here in Seattle, and a little about what I'm doing now as a vehicle operations specialist. First of all, sorry for the delay. I've been working at Rivian for a couple of months now, but up until a couple of days ago, I wasn't exactly sure if or how I was going to be able to mention Rivian on this channel, but I talked to the right people in communications, and as long as I don't mention or I should be good. Oh, but seriously, I'm not getting paid extra to say anything in particular. I'm just making this video for the same reason that I make all my other videos, which is that I think somebody out there might find this interesting and possibly even helpful. You might be wondering, what is Rivian? At this point, there's a good chance you've seen one out in the wild, whether you know it or not. Rivian is an American electric vehicle manufacturer. They make a truck, the R1T, an SUV, the R1S, and a cargo van, the EDV. If you're interested in learning more about the vehicles themselves, I'll link Rivian's official website down below, and that way you can learn a little bit more about individual products and more about Rivian's mission. But for this video, I'm just gonna be basically talking about my experience, my journey, how I got there, and basically how I'm liking it so far. If you've seen this channel before, you know that I worked as an Amazon delivery driver for about 3 years. Pretty narrow if I don't say myself. Banana time, baby. No! When I first started as an Amazon driver in 2020, there was an EDV under like a fenced off, tarp covered section of the warehouse. Every once in a while they'd send somebody in to work on it and you'd catch a glimpse, but for the most part, it was a total mystery. But that was pretty much my introduction to Rivian. Then in late 2022, Amazon launched the big official rollout of the EDV, and that was when my DSP got our first electric vans. Pretty soon after that, I was able to take one out on a route, and I loved it. So of all places, why Rivian? My first 3 years out of college, I graduated into COVID, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I ended up finding an awesome job at a local screen printing shop. And so I was doing that full time, and then I was delivering for Amazon 1, maybe 2 days a week. One of the things that I liked most about Amazon was the driving aspect. And so I really enjoyed driving all sorts of different vans and trucks. So once it came time to try the EDV, it was apparent pretty quickly that it was a well thought out, well designed, quality vehicle. On top of that, my first experience driving an electric vehicle, believe it or not, was the Rivian van. I was instantly hooked on the experience of one-pedal driving, the instant torque, even things like the simplicity and usability of EVs. I was in. I was totally in. So at this point, I was already kind of looking for a new job. I knew I was interested in automotive, especially something to do with EVs, but I just didn't know exactly how or where to look. I'd already been by the service center a bunch of times, scoping out the Prime vans, and then I'd looked at the Rivian YouTube channel and seen some of the cool stories that they were working on. And then it was kind of in the midst of a crazy week that this all started to come together. I had just heard that I was not selected for a really cool role at corporate Amazon, which I had applied for and reached the final interview and everything like that. I was like pretty certain that it was gonna happen, and it ended up not happening. I had another job that I had already applied to and been offered the job just in case, but I decided that that wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, so I had turned that one down. I just had that moment where I had hit reset. I wasn't really sure what my next move was gonna be, so I was kind of just scrolling Indeed, and there it was, a listing from Rivian. Coming from a production specialist role at the screen printing shop, I already had some background in operations, and so when I ended up applying for the role of vehicle operations specialist, it just seemed to be a good fit and made a lot of sense. And this is just the cherry on top. The hiring process was super streamlined. So within a week, I had applied, heard from a recruiter, interviewed, and received a job offer. So I kind of went from panic mode because I wasn't really sure what I was going to do next to also panic mode, but in a good way, because I was going to be starting at Rivian in like 2 weeks. So that brings us to today. I work just outside of Seattle at the Bellevue Service Center, which is one of a growing number of service centers in the United States and Canada. Bellevue is actually considered a micro center because of how small our footprint is. Basically, every other service center has a lot more space than us, more space in the service bays, more space on the lot to park different vehicles. But we just finished Q3 and Bellevue had the most deliveries out of any service center. So needless to say, things can get crazy. At the service center level, things are split up into 3 main elements: vehicle operations, service, and delivery. I'm on the VO side, so from the time new vehicles arrive on site from the factory in Normal, Illinois, to when they're delivered to customers here in Bellevue or elsewhere in the Pacific Northwest, we're in charge of things like cosmetic inspection and prep, updating software, charging, lot management, and supporting other service center needs. As for my specific role as VO specialist, I do a lot of quality inspections, jockeying vehicles between sites, managing loaners, rentals, and service vehicles, lots of washing, so definitely putting my waterproof boots to use. And I've even been learning some minor detailing, which is probably the most satisfying part. So on a normal day, I catch the bus around 6 a.m., get to work around 6:30, eat a little breakfast, and then I'll clock in and start on any washes that we have for the day. Most of the time, these are new vehicles being delivered to customers, but sometimes they're service loaners, sometimes they're internal fleet vehicles, sometimes they're even vehicles for special projects. Like we just had a few that were going to be used for a photo or video shoot or something like that. When afternoon shift arrives around 10:30, sometimes we'll have a meeting. After that, it's usually more washes, charging the next day's deliveries, ingressing any new vehicles from the factory or service vehicles, and then of course managing the lot just to make sure we have space for everything. By around 3:30, I've definitely hit my 10,000 steps and it's time to head home from morning shift. My team is awesome. The work environment is fast-paced, the hours are good, the benefits are good. There's definitely a focus on high standards, but there's also a strong culture around growth. So probably best of all, I'm learning a lot. I'm not the right person to answer technical questions about vehicles or upcoming products, but if you have any questions about my path to Rivian or what it's like being a VO specialist, leave a comment down below and I'll do my very best to get back to you as soon as I can. So there's my update after driving the vans for Amazon. It is so cool to be a part of Team Rivian. If you're interested in learning more, there are some very well-produced stories up on the official Rivian YouTube channel, so I definitely recommend checking those out. That's it for now. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you next time.